Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 4 of What If Naruto Was a Stray Devil. If you guys enjoy this what if, and want to see part 5 of it, comment down below, and let me know. And go ahead and check out other what ifs in the channel. Before we start, please do support for more awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So let's start this video. Fate looks at the string with a slight frown adorning her beautiful face, as she floats above a sea of strings of all different sizes that represents her world tapestry. Normally, when someone thinks of a tapestry, they think of a neat orderly picture made up of finely woven strings, but for Fate, this isn't the case. Below her is a convoluted soup of everyone's destiny that only she can control, manipulate, or read. Fortunately for everyone, she is usually just content on letting things play out naturally. She feels a slight disturbance in her dimension as it seems someone has come to visit her. Not an easy feat considering the wards surrounding the dimension to keep others out as well as intruding upon her home. She wouldn't hesitate to defend this place at all costs, with only a few in existence that could stand up to her. This time, however, Fate recognizes the person immediately, and a small smile adorns her face. She wouldn't call them friends, but friendly acquaintances as their lines of responsibilities are interconnected. She waits, looking at the orange string still curled up in her hands, as the other presents makes their way over to her. As soon as they get close, her golden eyes look up to see another beautiful 25-year-old woman that radiates an aura of finality and strictness. Her long black hair cascades down her back, while her piercing brown eyes stare at Fate. If Fate was anyone else, she would have flinched. She is wearing a black blazer with a white button down, and black tie along with a black skirt that goes down to her mid-thigh. Underneath are black stockings with black heels adorning her feet. "What's up, Death?" Fate asks casually. "I notice you left your realm recently, and I want to know why," Death says in a no-nonsense tone. "Straight to the point, eh? I found something interesting in the Norse pantheon," Fate says as her eyes glance down at the orange string. Death's eyes narrow. "The last time you said that was when you caused the biblical god to die and then looked at your world tapestry. You better not be planning to do something like that again," Death threatens. Fate rolls her golden orbs. "No, I just found an interesting individual. Powerful too. So much so that I can't directly interfere with his destiny," Fate says, slightly surprising Death. "How is there someone that powerful you didn't know about before? You have been around since the beginning like me," Death questions. She hates not knowing something. "That's because he just appeared here from a different universe. Having seen what he has gone through, well, my interest is slightly piqued. I haven't ever had something this fun to do in a long time," Fate says with a giggle. "You better not be doing anything that will drastically change the future or else," Death warns. Yeah, whatever," Fate waves her off dismissively. Death teleports away while curiosity sparkles in Fate's eyes. "Now what to do to you first?" Fate asks out loud till she gets a smile on her face. "I know," she exclaims and starts feeding the orange string into her world tapestry, while moving and tying another to it. All the while her giggles can be heard throughout her dimension. Babel Phoenix is not having a good day. First, her hair was not cooperating with her this morning, making her late to the family breakfast, and her mother scolded her for being late. Then, her Wani-sama, Riser Phoenix, invited her to go to the human realm with him as he has been trying to recruit two Nakamata to his peerage as he wants catgirls for his harem. Honestly, when he flaunts that he has a harem so openly, no wonder that Ria's Gremory is adamant about not marrying him. She went with him and what does he do? He abandons her to go have sex with them to celebrate adding them to his peerage. Akasama will be angry when she finds out. Still, she decides to explore a little bit as she doesn't want to hear anything. While she walks around and looks at everything, she ended up getting lost. As she walks down a side street back to where she thinks her brother is, a magic barrier goes up around her that prevents humans from entering and her from sending out communications or teleporting away. Of course, if she had high enough magical power she could break through the barrier and teleport, but she doesn't. White train when you are immortal. She finds herself surrounded by 3 devils, each having magical reserves on the higher end of mid-class devil level, which is above hers by a bit. It would be way more if not for her great genes from her parents. "It looks like we have caught a little bird," one of them says with a sinister grin. "I think Leviathan Sama will be most pleased," another says. I'm Ravel Phoenix. My family knows Demon King Leviathan personally, so stop this," Ravel says, trying to project confidence. All the devils start laughing at her pitiful attempt. "We meant the true Leviathan, little girl. Catalan Leviathan," one of them sneers out and her eyes whiten in shock. These devils were with the old Demon King faction. "What do you want from me?" She stammers out fearfully. "Well, we are going to force you to produce tears for us, and we are going to breed you," one of them says darkly with a chuckle. Ravel's face goes pale as she knows what that means. "Stay back. My brother is here. He will kill you all, if you so much as touch me," Ravel shouts at the top of her lungs as she takes a step back from the one talking. "You mean the brother that is currently several miles away having sex?" One chuckles. "I think not." The first devil launches himself at Ravel, who lets out an ep of fear, and sends out a weak fireball at him. The devil calmly dodges it before punching her, sending her back as she lets out a shout of pain. Ravel quickly climbs to her feet, with tears in her eyes, and starts launching fireballs at her opponents, who all laugh and calmly dodge them. One of the devils gets behind her and sends a blast of water magic at her, sending her flying and doused in water. This time she lets out a scream of pain as it hurts really bad, even if she can heal her body. She tries to get up and flee, only for a leg to kick her squarely in the stomach. Tears run down her face as they laugh at her. This isn't supposed to happen. She is an immortal phoenix. How can she be losing? Well, I think it's time we ended this farce, boys, the leader of the three says as he walks toward her. She cries even harder as she knows she can't do anything right now. Please somebody save me. She screams out in her mind, closing her eyes, just as the man is about to stomp on her head. Suddenly, an enormous killing intent floods the field, and the devil about to kick her jumps away, as he barely avoids a fireball. The other two aren't so lucky and get engulfed by a fire dragon. Their screams only last for a second until they only remain as charred corpses. The devil that narrowly dodged his death looks bewildered and a bit frightened after seeing his comrades easily die. He sees a blonde teen standing in front of the phoenix girl now, who points to the side. He glances over and his eyes widen before he is engulfed by a fire dragon as well, not even getting time to curse his opponents in his head before he dies. You can open your eyes. They're gone now, a voice in front of her says. She peeks through her eyelids, seeing a handsome blonde teen giving her a soft smile and a hand. She blushes as she takes the hand and pulls herself up off the ground. She can feel that he is a powerful devil, and his image looks familiar to her. Her eyes glance around and see another girl, a devil as well, who looks around 16 with silver hair and piercing blue eyes. The girl quickly moves herself to be beside the blonde, and gives her a hard stare. Then she sees 3 charred corpses, and she immediately turns a little green. Whoa, easy there, Ojusama. It's fine now. You will be fine, the blonde says soothingly. She takes a moment to swallow the bile threatening to come out of her throat, and gives the blonde a hug with a shaky nod, tears still coming out, but they are now in relief. Thank you for saving me, she cries out as she sobs louder. Her savior just shushes her and rubs her hand on her back comfortingly. No problem. We happen to be in the area, and notice the magic barrier keeping humans out, the blonde says. As she steps away after finally getting herself under control, she takes a closer look and notices his 3 whisker marks on each cheek. She squints her eyes in confusion as she is sure that she knows this person. Is something wrong? The silver-haired girl asks. Ravel shakes her head. No, nothing wrong, it's just you look very familiar to me. Please excuse my manners, Savior-sama. My name is Ravel Phoenix, she says as she curtsies slightly. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, the blonde says with a smile. Ravel's eyes widen in shock and a little fear as everyone in the underworld knows of him. The Strayus S-class devil from Demon King Leviathan's peerage. The blonde's smile turns into a frown. Hey, you don't have to fear me, Ravel-chan. I am not going to do anything to hurt you here, assures her. She nods slightly, a little less afraid, and looks over to the other girl. I am Volley. Disciple of my sensei, she says, inclining her head to the blonde so that she knows who her sensei is. Naruto smiles and creates 2 clones to deal with the damage. Ravel's eyes widen slightly as she heard rumors that he had such an ability. So, Ravel-chan, what brings you to Tokyo today? Naruto asks her with a smile. Well, Naruto-sama, I am here with my brother. He is taking care of other business right now, so I thought I'd walk around a bit. Then these devils from the old Demon King faction showed up and were planning on kidnapping me, Ravel says, shuddering slightly. Volley scowls at hearing the name of that group. The old Demon King faction, huh? First time I have ran into them. Pathetically weak though. That does beg the question. Have you ever trained in your life? I caught the tail end of that fight, and it was horrendous, Naruto asks. Ravel offended says, I am a phoenix. We are immortal, so there is no reason to train. Both Naruto and Volley deadpan her before Volley starts snickering. You do realize you just lost, right? And since they were going to kidnap you and your girl, what could possibly happen, right? Naruto adds on a little heatedly. Ravel flushes a bit at the first question before paling at the second. She can still hear the words, we are going to breed you, that one devil said. She shudders again, the world feeling a lot less warm than it used to. Well, at least you realize what can happen to you before it's too late. Some girls never get that chance, Naruto says with a slightly haunted look. He remembers clearing some bandit camps and the dead-eyed look the women that were kidnapped had. How am I supposed to beat them? I just turned 13, Ravel complains, not feeling scared at all in the blonde's presence anymore, even though she knew she should. It's hard to be scared of your savior after all. Pointing his thumb at Volley, Naruto says, she just turned 14, and she would have easily crushed those 3 without any problem. She's only 14, I would at least have thought 16, Ravel shouts as she looks at Volley. Volley smiles a bit at the compliment. Is that really what you are taking away from this? Naruto deadpans her. He shakes his head. Regardless, Ravel-chan, you should definitely train to at least have the power to protect yourself. Find yourself a sensei. Naruto turns around to leave, his clones having already done their job of fixing up the signs of the battle. Wait. Ravel cries out, seeing that her savior is leaving. Naruto turns his head and raises an eyebrow, silently asking what she wants. Can you train me? She squeaks out, getting Naruto to turn around with both his eyebrows raised and volley to stiffen on the spot. Why are you asking me? Who you know is a stray devil and just met to train you, he questions. What do you mean why? You should be honored that a lady such as I would even ask such a thing of you, she says with haughtiness. Naruto immediately turns around and continues walking, not even giving her a response. Wait. It's because you are strong, and seem to be a good person, even if you are a stray. Like one of those bedtime stories my Akasama used to read me about a prince saving the princess, she mutters out with a blush, but they still hear it. Volley clenches her fist. What about your family? Wouldn't they not like the idea? It'll be fine. I can work it out, Ravel promises him. It'll be the hardest thing of your life. No problem. I guess it wouldn't be a problem to take on another student, Naruto mumbles to himself, before nodding his head. Okay, but we do things my way, you promise to keep our secrets, and if you quit once you are out. I can do that, Ravel says with a nod. Sensei. Volley says loudly, drawing their stares. You are my sensei. Not hers. Naruto goes over to her, and pets her on the head, getting her to calm down slightly. Volley-chan, it's okay. I am not replacing you, and I am not going anywhere. I think this could be good for you too, having someone roughly your age, to talk to and another sparring partner. I will do anything you want, within reason of course, Naruto says to her. Fine, Volley concedes. It's really hard for her to say no to her sensei anyway. Besides, this might help her deal with her Frey problem. Alright, Ravel-chan. Looks like you are all set. Do you have a way to contact you? Naruto asks. She summons a contract slip, and hands it to him. Channel your magic into that, and I will meet you wherever, Ravel explains. That's convenient. I will summon you tomorrow morning. Pack enough clothes to last an entire month. Make sure they are warm, Naruto says as he waves goodbye. The magical barrier that he set up, just on the outside of the old one, fades away. Ravel watches the two of them go, specifically the blonde, with a small smile on her face. I am glad I thought of that on the spot to see him again. It really was just like the stories, the way he saved me. Now I have to somehow convince Akasama and Otusama to let me go away for a month, Ravel thinks to herself. She teleports herself back home, not even caring about her One-sama at the moment, as she has much bigger things to worry about. Arriving in front of her family home, as the home itself doesn't allow anyone to teleport directly into it, and only main family Phoenix members and their peerages can teleport in front of the main door. The rest have to go to the guardhouse. She walks through the front doors into the reception area of the house, that has marble floors, gold-plated trim, priceless artwork around, and a massive crystal chandelier hanging from the ceiling. She sees a maid cleaning the corner and walks up to her. Welcome back, Ravel-sama, the maid says as she bows. Where is my Akasama? Lady Phoenix-sama, I believe, is out in the garden, the maid answers politely. Thanks, Ravel says as she quickly walks to the garden. She wants to run, but her mother would scold her and tell her that a lady isn't supposed to run in the house. It takes her 10 minutes to finally reach the garden, where she sees her mother, the woman she gets her looks from, reading a book in the gazebo. Akasama, Ravel calls out, getting her mother's attention. Ravel can't wait to grow up and look exactly like her mother. Her long curly blonde hair that flows down to her waist, and her body that looks amazing with a chest any woman would be proud of. It's no wonder why her mom is regarded as beautiful even among devil standards. Oh, Ravel, her mother says with a smile, closing the book that she is reading and placing it down. Your brother's business is already completed in the human world. Ravel scrounges up her face slightly. I have no idea, she says honestly. What do you mean? Lady Phoenix questions with an eyebrow raised. Well, I was with him, and the twin Akamata accepted his offer to join his peerage. After they finished the ritual, Riser told me to leave for a while, so that he could have some fun with them. I walked around town for a while, until several all-Demon King faction devils tried to kidnap me, she says, getting a horrified gasp from her mother. Lady Phoenix rushes over and gives her a hug. My baby. Are you alright? What happened? I am fine now, Akasama. At the time, I was trying, and miserably failing at fighting them. They hit me, and it hurt so much, Ravel says as new tears as she remembers the pain. They said some terrible things about what they were going to do to me, she sobs. Lady Phoenix's power flares in anger as she comforts her daughter. SHHHH, it's alright now. You're safe here, she says reassuringly. They were about to take me away, when Savior Sama and his students show up. He takes care of them in like 2 seconds, burning them to charred corpses. He then helps me up and comforted me. They said they felt the magical barrier and just checked it out. Without them. Ravel says shakily. Well, I hope you invited them over, so that I can properly thank them for protecting my little girl. Lady Phoenix says as she releases Ravel from her hug. No, but Savior Sama told me that he caught the tail end of my fight, and gave me a dressing down for never training before to protect myself. They were leaving and, well, it was just like the stories you read to me, and I wanted to see him again, so I asked him to teach me how to fight, Ravel says with a hopeful expression. Lady Phoenix tries to speak, but she plows on. I had to convince him to take me on, and he finally relented. His other student is a 14-year-old girl, so I would have a friend if I joined him. He told me that I only get one shot and to pack for a month. Warm clothes too, Ravel pleads as she looks at her mom with large eyes. Please let me go, Akasama. He is really nice and strong, Ravel finishes with a slight blush at the end. Something that Lady Phoenix picks up on. Have a crush on him already, she teases her daughter. Ravel never acts this way as she is always a proper young lady, so seeing her beg and have a crush like a normal little girl is refreshing to Lady Phoenix. And no, Ravel says, waving her hands in front of her face with slight steam coming out of her ears. I think you might. What is his name? Lady Phoenix asks. Ravel suddenly gets nervous and takes a deep calming breath. This is going to be the hardest part. It's Uzumaki Naruto, Ravel says. Lady Phoenix's eyes widen dramatically. She recognizes that name. Every devil does. The SS class stray from Demon King Leviathan's peerage. Thought to have killed 20 bounty hunter high-class level devils. Known to associate with a girl around 13 with silver hair. It do not fight, unless you are an ultimate class devil, warning attached to the name. Absolutely not, Lady Phoenix says with a shake of her head. He is an SS class stray devil that has killed 20 bounty hunter devils. But Akasama, he is really nice. I convinced him to take me on. Of course, he is going to defend himself from bounty hunters. Ravel whines. I don't care, Ravel. There are rules in place regarding strays. No devil may assist them in any way, Lady Phoenix says with a shake of her head. Besides, I don't want you around someone that dangerous. I am going. Ravel says, stomping her foot on the ground. He saved me when no one else would have. I don't care what anyone else thinks, he is a nice person. Lady Phoenix gives Ravel her best glare, which always cowers everyone, including her husband, into giving in. Surprisingly, Ravel stares back at her, just as determined. Lady Phoenix sighs, as she does have to give the man some credit for saving her daughter. I am coming to meet him tomorrow with you. Absolutely no compromise there. From there I will determine if it is okay for you to train under this man, she says sternly. She is a middle-tier ultimate class devil with the power of immortality. She is confident that she can hold her own long enough to get herself and her daughter out safely if she needs to. She can also summon a couple of her peerage members herself should she require. Thanks, Akasama. I promise you will like him, Ravel says with a smile. Okay, sweetie. Why don't you go pack while I go test the extent of your brother's regenerative capabilities, Lady Phoenix says with a smile that is way too sweet. She saw her give that to Otusama once when they went to spar. She came back in much better shape than he did. Ravel runs off to her room, intent on packing everything she could possibly need. Ravel, her mom calls out after her, a lady doesn't run. Ravel slows down immediately and fast walks back. There is no rule against that after all. A couple hours later, Riser's screams echoed through their entire estate as Ravel hums happily while packing a few suitcases. The next morning, Lady Phoenix is standing by her daughter, waiting for her to be summoned. Ravel has been ready since 6 a.m., eager to see her savior Sama again. Lord Phoenix is also nearby, sitting a chair as he has a small frown on his face. He was really against the idea last night, but his wife told him that they had to give Naruto some goodwill as he did save their daughter. He couldn't imagine life without his little girl. Layla, you will summon me if you need to, right? He asks nervously. His wife may be more powerful than him, but that doesn't mean he is a slouch either. He is a low-tier ultimate class devil himself. Yes, Revan, I will. Besides, I am sure I can handle anything that happens, Layla says with a nod. She may haven't fought seriously since the Civil War, but she still trains on occasion. Akasama, he is summoning me, Ravel says excitedly. She nods her head and takes a deep breath, focusing in case she has to battle. Ravel creates a teleportation circle and they disappear. Naruto, with Volley in her training gear, stands behind him. He accepted the girl's request on a whim, not wanting a young girl like her to not be powerful enough to protect herself. He may not be able to help everyone, but he can help someone in front of him who asks for it. Plus, this could get him one less enemy in the underworld. He pours some magic into the small sheet of paper Ravel gave him as the stand in front of their house. Naruto knows that he is going to have his work cut out with this girl, so he wants to see if she can handle it. He is introducing his version of Hell Week, except it's a month long. He was serious, that if she quit once, he wasn't going to train her anymore. Ollie, meanwhile, while happy that they are leaving for parts unknown to her, which means unknown to Freya, is also annoyed that she has to share her sensei's attention. Still, she did get that promise from him, and is thinking of the perfect request. A magic circle, bigger than what would be used for one person, appears in front of them. Volley is on guard instantly, but Naruto waves her down. He figured this would happen. In front of them, Ravel appears with several suitcases, and a taller, more mature version of Ravel appears right next to her with her gaze focused and sharp. She instantly takes in their surroundings, and her eyes stay on him, as if studying him. Definitely an experienced warrior. And wow, her magic reserves are higher than mine. Naruto thinks a little surprised. Clearly, someone in Ravel's house knows how to fight. Meanwhile, Layla is trying to get a read on her potential enemy's power. It seems as if the girl has upper high-class devil reserves, along with some type of strong sacred gear. She thinks to herself, a little surprised at how strong the 14-year-old girl is, along with the look in her eyes. Confident, determined, and hardened. Not something you usually see in a young teen's eyes nowadays. Her thoughts then swing to the blonde. She is slightly surprised to see how young he looks, as she hasn't seen a picture of the blonde before. Still, that isn't telling of age in the supernatural world. It seems he has low-tier ultimate class power, but what's strange is how the magic clings to him. Like it is encasing something, she thinks. She stretches her senses to the limit, looking for what is underneath his magic. She has always been a terrible sensor. Finally, she senses chakra. Underneath his magic. Oh my demon king. It's like an endless ocean, she thinks to herself. Thanks to controlling her reactions for centuries, the only outward expression of shock is her eyes whitening marginally. It's like standing next to Surzucha's Urjuka. How the hell did Seraphiel even reincarnate such a monster, she thinks to herself, slightly in awe and fear. Hey Ravel-chan. You sure packed a lot, but you are probably going to need it. Who is this? Your older sister. Naruto questions. Lady Phoenix blushes slightly at the compliment, but immediately recomposes herself as she reminds herself of who she is dealing with. Someone that could easily crush her. Curtsying, Lady Phoenix politely says, hello Uzumaki Dono. My name is Layla Phoenix, Ravel's mother. Whoa, really? Well, it is nice to meet you, Phoenix-san. Please, I hate formalities, so just call me Naruto, he says with a wave of the hand. Yes, I just wanted to meet the man who saved my daughter and thank him. And to also ask what you are planning to teach my daughter. Layla says. Ravel is a little surprised by the way her mother is acting, as it seems she now has no qualms with this. Well, how to fight and survive, of course. And if you are wondering if I am a good teacher, ask Volley here, Naruto says. Layla looks at Volley, who seems to be in good health, and is definitely a cut above the rest for her age. How's the training, she asks. Ravel listens on intently, curious as well. It's torture, Volley deadpans. Every day sensei will break you down and remake you a little better than before. He will expose all your flaws and make you pay with pain. He does it ease up, and I am always exhausted by the end of the day. It isn't for the weak, but I have no complaints. Naruto chuckles nervously while Layla's sweat drops at that description. She glances over to her daughter, who looks a lot more nervous than before, but still with a determined glint in her eye. You will take care of my daughter, right? Layla questions sternly. Even if she has no chance in hell against him, she will still fight to protect her. With my life, Naruto answers seriously, his gaze never wavering for a moment. She nods her head, while Ravel blushes at how serious Naruto said that. Then I have no problems. Also, just one last question. How old are you? Layla asks. She should have heard of him before, if he is as powerful as she thinks he is. I am 18. Why? Naruto asks with a head tilt. Layla shakes her head, trying to get rid of her disbelief. How does an 18-year-old have that much power? Ravel, meanwhile, gets a smile on her face at his answer. No reason. Listen to your sensei now, Ravel, Layla says sternly before teleporting away. So, Naruto-sama, what are we doing first? Ravel asks a little nervously. That description from Volley didn't sound promising. First, Ravel-chan, I want you to call me Naruto-sensei or just sensei like Volley-chan. I think it is more appropriate and, if you want to look at it in a certain perspective, more respectful too, Naruto says. Ravel nods her head as she can definitely do that. As for what we are doing, well, I decided that we are going to have to do is to take the stick out of your ass. I have an innate sense for knowing which people have one as well as having the skill to deal with it. Luckily, you are still young enough where it is reversible, Naruto says with a grin that doesn't give her any comfort. Therefore, we are going to be camping and training in the forest of northern Canada for the entire month, Naruto says cheerfully. Volley smiles as this is definitely a good thing for her, while Ravel pales even more so. She has never camped before, nor been without servants. Naruto grabs Ravel's shoulder, as if preventing her from running right away. Let's go. He exclaims and creates a teleportation circle that teleports them into the middle of the wilderness in 3 feet of snow. Ravel is shivering already, and something tells her that it is going to get worse. Pain, Ravel thinks, accurately sums up her first week with Naruto-sensei and Volley. The first thing he did was have her work out in the snow for 4 hours. She has never done it once in her life before. The agony of her feet, arms, and legs, which would heal after each step or rep before hurting on the next one. She thought that was the worst she would have to face, which would have been manageable. Then came the 3-hour magic session. She works on her casting speed, the accuracy of her fireballs, along with the strength and speed behind them, and her control of her magic. At the end, while not terribly physically draining, she is drained magically. It will take her an entire night to regain it. Still, she might want to pass out, but at least it's done, right? No? her sensei, giving her clone, which she thinks is the most OP power ever if what he described what they can do is accurate, makes her spar against it in taijutsu. She has never fought nor practiced in hand-to-hand combat in her life. Needless to say, she got thrashed and without magic she couldn't regenerate her wounds. Her clothes became tattered and her modesty was gone. She shrieked and tried to cover herself. The clone then sat her down and gave her a lecture about how modesty is the last thing to worry about in a fight to the death. Then clone even said she has the worst taijutsu he has ever seen. That certainly knocked down her ego. He then spent the next hour going over academy level katas with her, and she had to constantly punch and kick wood logs. Each hit made her wince in pain. By the end, she was a mess of bruises, showed a lot of skin, and had a terribly hurt ego from the first day. She had cried a total of 15 times that day and nearly quit, but she was going to show her savior that she could do it. When she came back to their camp, she sees Volley is a mess of bruises as well, which makes her feel a little better as she isn't the only one that got their ass kicked. She asked what was for dinner and Naruto-sensei chuckled and threw kunai at her feet. He told her whatever she killed. How the hell was she supposed to find something in this god-forsaken forest to eat? Grumbling under her breath about how lady shouldn't have to hunt her own food, Ravel picks up the kunai and trudges out to the forest, a new clone following her. She spends an hour out in the forest, looking for some sign of an animal, all the while complaining loudly about how ladies shouldn't have to do this. Tired and not finding a single animal, she makes her way back to the camp to fall asleep. When she gets back, she sees both Volley and Naruto-sensei eating a couple of rabbits. She grumbles about how unfair it is that they treat a lady like this, causing both to laugh. She walks into their shared tent, something she is thankful for that she didn't have to set up, crawls into a sleeping bag and falls asleep cold, tired, in pain, and hungry. It took every single ounce of willpower to not give up. If it was anyone else other than her savior, she would have, she had no doubt of that. Luckily, her sensei would provide breakfast and lunch so she didn't completely starve, but she still hasn't caught a single thing for dinner. She has gotten to know Naruto-sensei and Volley a little better during the past week. She learned why Naruto ran away from Demon King Leviathan, how Volley and he met, and some stories of Naruto's past that always captivates her attention. She hasn't heard of most of the places he speaks of though. She also tells them a bit about the Phoenix clan and herself. After lunch on the 8th day, when Naruto goes to use the restroom, Volley faces her, giving her a serious look. She instantly straightens herself as she hasn't really had the opportunity to speak to Volley one-on-one yet. Listen Ravel, other than your uppity attitude, you aren't that bad, so I am going to give you a warning. Sensei is mine. He has been mine and he always will mine first. So long as you understand that we will get along just fine, Volley warns her. You love him? Ravel asks with a raised eyebrow. Volley nods her head. I have no idea as to your emotions toward him, but know he is mine, and I will do anything to protect that, she growls out. Ravel is surprised at just how territorial Volley is acting over Naruto-sensei. Still, she doesn't want to fight over this, especially when her feelings aren't like Volley's. She only has a bit of a crush on him after all. Okay Volley, I am not going to try and take him away from you, Ravel says with a nod. Volley gets a smile on her face in response. Good, she states as she gets up and stretches. Oh, are you too? Let's get started on our magic practice already, Naruto calls out to them as he walks back to camp. Ravel releases a slight groan, but pulls herself up off the log she was sitting on. Naruto has been pleasantly surprised by Ravel's determination the past week. Having never trained in her life and doing this hell regiment along with the conditions, she should have dropped out. Hell, Naruto expected her to. This isn't how normal people train, but her determination to get strong is real, and he can shape her into being a powerhouse given enough time. That regeneration skill is insane. As long as she has enough magic, any damage she takes doesn't matter. Of course, she still feels the pain, but she can't die. Unless it is holy or light-based weapons, but still a huge advantage. It also will help in her training as Naruto can be more brutal, making her learn faster, and won't cause her permanent harm. Operation Remove Stick from her ass is also going along well. He has pretty much destroyed any and all notion of a phoenix being unbeatable and immortal in her mind. He has shown her how poor her magic skills are, and how his wind affinity actually outclasses her own. Her non-existent taijutsu skills made her get her ass kicked by him, and she has started getting used to pain, repetition, and hard work. She still complains about how ladies shouldn't have to do certain things, but the complaints are coming less and less often. It seems she knows that no one is going to help her, and he and Volley are just going to laugh. Volley's own training is going well. Her daily ass kicking from him is making her improve faster and faster. The afternoon training where he has his clones attack her with a variety of abilities and power levels is really honing her battle instincts. His own is going well as his clones keep chugging away. Kenjutsu practice, water nature manipulation first stage, water jutsu practice, chakra control, and his clones working on collaboration jutsus between fire and wind jutsu. He cackled darkly the first time he practiced those. He personally is working on sign speed, ice magic, and one of the signature moves of the Goken. The opening of the gates. So far, he has gotten one to open, and the power boost was incredible. He eventually wants to get all 7, but that is going to take a long time. Does he need them? No, but it's badass. Shaking himself out of his thoughts, he looks at his 2 students with a smile. Ollie-chan, you can do whatever you want, he says, and she nods her head. She almost always does her own thing for magic practice, as Naruto can't really teach her anything. Fortunately, the textbooks from Azazel they received long ago still have plenty of material for her to improve on. Ravel-chan, I want you to start controlling your attacks after you already release them. Force them to curve and move around how you want. This will help you with your magic control. The further away you can control your magic, the better your control will be. It's easier to control attacks with smaller magic than Naruto tells her. She nods her head and creates a small fireball in her hand. She can have it curve slightly in the first 5 feet before it loses it. Alright, continue with that. I will be over there working on my ice magic, Naruto says. Naruto decided to learn ice magic second primarily for one reason. To honor Haku. She was the one who gave him an ideal to live for right when he really needed it most, so this is his way to remember her. It also helps that it is cool. He focuses as he creates a magic circle, sending several icicles out at his target. He nods his head and sets to work, determined to get proficient in it. Ravel quietly stalks her prey, trying her hardest to not let it notice her. She gets within 20 yards of it, standing downwind so that it won't smell her. In her hand is the kunai that Naruto threw at her feet the very first night they arrived here. It honestly feels like a lifetime ago to her. She is definitely not the same scared little Oju-sama that entered this forest. Her hair is wild, tangled and hasn't been taken care of for weeks. Under her fingernails is her blood with some dirt mixed in. Her body is bruised and clothes are tattered. She cares not a whit for any of these things, as she hungrily eyes the white rabbit in front of her. This is her first time actually finding an animal that she could eat for dinner. She broken down 3 days ago, and asked Naruto-sensei for lessons on hunting. He burst out laughing, which made her look down in shame, before he praised her, confusing her. He told her that he made her do this as he was trying to break her stubborn pride, and to ask for help with something she has no clue how to do. She flushed in shame, but after 2 nights of the basics, one night of finding nothing, she finally finds her dinner. How am I going to kill it? Ravel thinks to herself. She can already imagine the rabbit being roasted over the campfire, causing her to drool. She wipes it from her cracked lips quickly, and focuses on the task at hand. She looks down at the kunai and briefly considers throwing it, till she realizes that the odds of her actually hitting it are pretty much 0. Volley also doesn't have any skill in kunai, so how does she kill them? Volley and her have actually bonded over this trip, as they each talk about the torture Naruto-sensei put them through that day. She would actually call the 14-year-old one of her few friends, and the only one that understands how much of a sadist Naruto-sensei can be. As long as Ravel doesn't encroach on her claim of Naruto-sensei, everything between them is fine. She actually even told Ravel she was descended from Lucifer himself. Boy, was she surprised. She told her to keep it a secret from devils and Ravel will gladly do so. There's no reason why anyone needs to know that anyway. Ollie can probably catch them with her speed, Ravel thinks bitterly. With the seal Naruto-sensei drew on her a couple days ago, there's no way she could do that. Talk about an awkward scenario with her having to strip right in front of Naruto. Ollie watched her like a hawk during the whole thing too. Still, her views of modesty, at least around these two, have diminished greatly. Ravel think, she berates herself as she watches the rabbit hop a couple yards further away. She can't burn it, she doesn't know any earth spells to trap it, but she can electrocute it. She learned a very basic thunder spell from Volley that can shock things. Then she can kill it with the kunai. Channeling the tiny bit of magic she has left, she sends a small bolt of lightning at the bunny, causes it to squeal in pain and freeze up. She quickly runs over as fast as she can, pounces on it to not let it get away, and stabs it in the chest. Finally, she yells loudly for all the heavens to hear. She couldn't give a shit about the small voice of her mother in the back of her head, berating her for yelling as a lady shouldn't yell. She will get to eat tonight. She trudges through the snow, something she doesn't even notice anymore, nor the cold, as the past 4 weeks have numbed her to it. If she was a human, she would have died to hypothermia long ago, but her devil body is much more resilient. After 10 minutes, she sees Naruto-sensei and Volley just starting to roast their rabbits as well. She grins victoriously, and gives them the victory sign as she holds up her own catch. Naruto gives her a thumbs up, and even Volley gives her a small smile. Great job, Ravel-chan. Now you have to skin it and get rid of the guts, Naruto says with a cheeky grin. Ravel groans and then scrounges up her face in confusion. How am I supposed to do that? She questions. Naruto shrugs his shoulders, and she narrows her eyes at him, before they widen in understanding. Naruto-sensei, can you teach me how to skin and gut a rabbit? She asks. Naruto gives her a grin for understanding the appropriate thing to do. Sure thing, Ravel-chan, he says as he explains what to do to her. She carefully follows his step-by-step instructions, not even fazed by using her hand to remove the guts, as all she can think about is how good the rabbit is going to taste. There you go. Now just roast it over the fire and remember, a little overcooked is much better than under. You can get diseases if you undercook it, he says as he rubs her head. She blushes under getting a head rub from Naruto-sensei. He only does that when he is proud of her, and she really likes it. It also makes her proud in herself for doing something praiseworthy. Polly narrows her eyes slightly, but doesn't do anything. Ravel is her friend, and they already discussed who Sensei belongs to. Still, she wishes it was her getting the head rub. Well, my two amazing disciples, I am proud of you for what each of you have accomplished these past 4 weeks. Honestly, Ravel-chan, I didn't think you were going to make it, but you surprised me. Your stubbornness may have cost your stomach some food, but it kept you in these freezing conditions with us, and that's commendable. You are cut above the rest your age, just like Volley-chan, Naruto says, giving them both a proud smile. They both preen under his praise and nod to each other. Only they would know what it is like to experience a hell month with Naruto-sensei. Ravel-chan, you are going to go home for 2 days to see your family as that's important, but then I want you to come live with us for a while. We can't let you stay there long, lest you revert back, Naruto says with a laugh while Volley chuckles as well. Ravel shakes her head as she definitely doesn't think she could ever go back to the naive little girl she was before. They eat their meat, making small talk amongst themselves before they finally call it a night. They retire to the tent and climb in their respective sleeping bags, each fall asleep thinking of the future ahead. The morning comes and Ravel wakes up when Volley shakes her. She grunts her thanks, too tired to talk, as she gets out of her sleeping bag. She searches through her suitcases, looking for some type of clothing that is wearable. She grabs a shirt that is the least ripped, with only a gash on the right side, and a pair of warm leggings that have various small cuts in them. She quickly slips on some socks and her boots, while looking down at her various suitcases, full of torn clothing and other things she has no need of anymore. She drags it all outside, puts it in a pile, and sends a large fireball at it, destroying all of it. Everything okay? Naruto asks as he comes back from the forest, obviously having just used the restroom. I just don't need any of that anymore. It's all ruined anyway, Ravel says with a shrug. Yeah, we have to get you some proper training clothes, and I will put on some resistance seals on them. That will help them not wear out as fast, Naruto says as he yawns. It doesn't help when you cut them, Volley deadpans him. Then dodge. Besides, Ravel-chan just has the fortunate benefit of healing from the cuts, so long as she has magic, so I can be a little more brutal, Naruto says with a smile. Ravel shudders as she thinks about the pain she had to endure, and instantly curses her genes. They're a liability when Naruto tortures her. Well, Ravel-chan, you can get going. We can finish up here. I am sure your family is eager to see you. Before you go, give me another one of those magic summon papers so I can summon you in 2 days' time, Naruto says. She summons one of the slips and gives it to him. Naruto instantly pulls her into a hug, much to her embarrassment, but she returns at full force. He lets go of her after several seconds, and she pulls away. She sees Volley standing next to him, and she then gives Ravel a hug too, though it's a little awkward as she has never hugged anyone else except her sensei and her mom. Thank you, Naruto-sensei, Volley, for everything this month. See you both soon, Ravel says with a wave as she activates a teleportation circle underneath her. Ravel appears in front of her family's mansion in the underworld with conflicted emotions. Happy to be back home and see her family, but sad to leave them, even if it is only for 2 days. She pushes the door in and walks into her house, and sees a maid who looks like she was waiting for her. Ravel gives her a smile, but the maid gives her a horrified look before running off. Ravel is slightly confused as she knows her clothes are bad, but not enough to warrant that reaction. Shrugging, Ravel makes her way to the dining room to get food, as she hasn't had a good meal for the past month. She will make sure to never take for granted their chef's cooking again. As she walks calmly down the hall, other maids are looking at her with horrified expressions, but she ignores them. Food is easily the most important thing to her right now. At the end of the hall, she sees her Akasama come out of the dining room with a slightly frantic expression on her face. Ravel sees her, and waves a greeting with a smile. She is too tired and hungry to talk. Ravel, her mom shrieks, before she basically teleports right in front of her, looking at her worriedly. What happened to you? Are you okay? Did he hurt you? Ah, Akasama. Ravel says annoyed as bats her hands off of her. Why are you freaking out? I know my clothes are ripped, but I didn't have any more non-torn ones left. But your hair, nails, skin. What the hell did you do for training? Lady Phoenix asks as she continues to stare at her daughter. The maids listen on curious as no one really knew where Ravel was except Lord and Lady Phoenix. Can I tell you while we eat? I haven't had a decent meal in a month, Ravel pleads. She now realizes why her mom is so concerned. She honestly hadn't given them any thought the last 2 weeks. Their mother frowns, but nods her head. She grips Ravel's hand hard, as if she is going to disappear otherwise. Ravel allows herself to be led, not having the energy to complain. Quickly get Ravel all of her favorites, Layla tells one of the maids in the dining room, who quickly goes into kitchen. Layla has her sit down next to her, and she gives her daughter a sharp stare. Start explaining now, she demands. Akasama. Nothing bad happened other than the torture that was called training. We camped out in northern Canada for the entire month and trained, Ravel says, waving away most of her mother's biggest concerns. He did exactly as Volley told you he would. He destroyed and rebuilt me. The non-stop training, the constant taijutsu beatdowns, and his verbal lashing of my magical skills destroyed my overinflated ego and taught me several harsh truths. That I am weak, unskilled, and that our clan traits are nothing special. That I couldn't survive on my own and my pride cost me many meals when I could have asked for help. That almost all my concerns before don't matter in the slightest. He pulled the stick out of my ass and burned it. He then started beating into me, literally, an extremely solid foundation of skills that I can rely and build on, Ravel explains seriously as her mother listens on intently. Her mother is equal parts horrified and proud. Horrified that her daughter had to go through such an experience, and proud that she came out of it much better off. She can tell her daughter has fundamentally changed. She has a look of confidence in her eyes that she didn't have before. Honestly, it really was a hell month. Yet, I wouldn't trade it for the world. The friendship I made with the both of them around the campfire during meals is more real than any other I have. The laughs I had with them as Naruto-sensei told stories of his childhood pranks and adventures were loud, free, and true. It will be something I remember forever. I can't wait to do it again, Ravel says with a wistful sigh. She has already romanticized it in her mind. Lady Phoenix gets a happy smile on her face and gives Ravel a big hug. It seems her daughter is going to do just fine, even thrive, studying under Uzumaki Naruto. The maid comes back out of the kitchen, her hands full with a plate of pancakes, strawberries, and a plate of bacon. She places it in front of Ravel, his eyes glitter in excitement and happiness. She dives into it with wild abandon, not caring about proper manners or who is watching it all. Lady Phoenix's eyebrows raise dramatically as she watches her daughter tear into the food in front of her. They get even higher as she sees tears falling down her daughter's face. What is it, dear? The food. It's so good and filling. I ate things that I would hesitate to call food for a month. I never ate dinner because I couldn't hunt. Finally, last night I killed, skinned, and gutted my first rabbit, and it tasted glorious. That had nothing on this. I will never take our food here for granted again, Ravel says profusely. Lady Phoenix is shocked that Ravel learned how to hunt and clean a rabbit. She has no idea how to do that. Ravel, she hears her husband yell as he coming running through the door. Ravel doesn't even notice, too engrossed in eating her food to hear her father's shout. Seeing her state as well as the way she is ravenously eating the food, his eyes swing toward Layla, who gives him a smile, and mouths she's fine at him, causing him to relax. Then he raises an eyebrow, wanting to know what happened to his daughter. Later she says to her husband, who grimaces and nods her head. He trusts his wife to tell him everything he wants to know. Ravel looks up after she finishes her food and finally notices her dad. Hayoto-sama. Don't worry, I am completely fine. Didn't mean to scare everyone with my appearance. I am going to go take a proper bath, now, Ravel says as she gets up from the table. Every morsel is off the plate, whereas normally she will eat half that amount of food. I think I will join you, Lady Phoenix says as she gets up too. She wants to continue to hear about this training trip her daughter went on. Ravel walks on ahead as Layla stops to talk to her husband. Don't worry. Nothing bad happened to her at all, despite her clothes and state. In fact, I think we owe Uzumaki Naruto a great debt. She isn't just doing well under him, she is thriving, she says to the shock of her husband. Are you sure? He questions. Yeah, I am. You will see it later when you look closely into her eyes. Also announced to the staff that nothing bad happened to her, Layla says before walking after her daughter. Ivan just sighs and sits at the breakfast table, his mind on his daughter, as he waves over a maid to start spreading the word. As soon as Ravel gets into her room, again ignoring the stares of the staff, she strips off her clothes and walks to the bathroom. She hears someone enter behind her and sees it's her mother. Ravel turns on the bath, which is large enough for several people, and walks to her shower. Lady Phoenix is a little surprised at how immodest her daughter is being, as she never was that way in the past. She also sees a tattoo, a spiral with a 1 in the center, right above her heart. Ravel? Her mother questions as she starts undressing herself. What is it, Akasama? Ravel asks with a cute head tilt. Why do you have a tattoo? You also seem much less concerned about your state of dress, Lady Phoenix asks. That is because Naruto-sensei drilled into my head the stupidity about worrying about one's modesty while in a life and death fight. That distraction could prove fatal. He provided several examples. I guess it just extended outside training a bit too, Ravel says with a shrug. For the tattoo, it is actually a resistance seal that Naruto-sensei put on me. You can't see the lines, but it extends all across my body. It acts as weight, making it harder for me to move. The only problem is that it is chakra-based, so he is the only one that can unseal it. He is trying to make a magic one, so that I and Volley can activate and deactivate it at will, she explains. He didn't do anything untoward you when he painted it, right? She questions sternly. Akasama. No. He would never do such a thing, Ravel says indignantly. Sorry, sweetie, I just had to make sure. I don't know him after all. she says with a disarming smile. Ravel steps into the shower and relishes the feeling of hot water running down her body. She starts vigorously washing her skin with a loofah to get rid of the dirt, while her mother steps in to help her out. After around 10 minutes of scrubbing, her skin has regained a normal clean hue, while her hair looks fine. The mother-daughter duo then step into the bath, and Ravel sighs in relief at the feeling. She had honestly forgotten how good it felt. "So, do you have a crush on Naruto, Dono?" Lady Phoenix asks bluntly. Ravel's face blushes up in embarrassment at the direct question. Hayaka-sama, she admits quietly, getting a large smile out of her mom. "He is very handsome and powerful. Not to mention he is only 5 years older than you." Layla gushes, getting Ravel to blush even further. Now, for the underworld, which has many arranged marriages, a 5-year difference for two people is nothing. Some can even have a couple 100-year difference. For example, Riser is already 38, while his bride-to-be is 15. "Yes, but it doesn't matter," Ravel says sadly. Layla's grin turns to a frown. "Why is that, sweetie?" "Because Volley is in love with him. To the point where she is extremely possessive of him. A week into the camp, she warned me to not take him away from her. If I didn't try to, she had no problem with me," Ravel tells her mom. "Ravel, I highly doubt that a powerful man like Naruto will only have one wife. If you still have this crush years later, and it turns into love, I am sure you can be with him," Layla reassures her. "Besides, it's not like Volley has confessed her feelings toward him, and they are in a relationship, right?" Getting a shake of the head in response. "Then you can try to win his affections for yourself." Ravel cringes slightly at that thought. That would mean declaring war on Volley, and that could become deadly. Her mom didn't see the look in her eyes when she declared Naruto-sensei was hers. It was unnerving to say the least. Maybe Akasama. Volley can be scary, she says. Then join forces with her to conquer Naruto-sen's heart. Otherwise, you will be left out, Layla says with a shrug. Of course, make sure you fall in love with him, and it's not just a transient crush. Enough of this talk, Akasama. Ravel whines, getting a chuckle from her mom. Fine, Ravel. Why don't you go more in detail about what you did? Like, how was the first day? She asks. Ravel pales as she remembers that day, and she begins to tell her everything. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want a next part of this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification, and also check out the other videos that I have created, and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.